The lights dimmed, and the crowd fell silent. A thin boy, no older than 12, walked onto the stage, clutching a battered microphone with trembling hands. His clothes hung loosely from his small frame, and his shoes, worn and full of holes, made a soft squeak on the polished floor. He looked terrified. But when he lifted his eyes, there was something else there too, a quiet strength, a spark that refused to die. "Tell us your name," one of the judges said gently. "My name is Eli," the boy answered, his voice soft but steady. "I'm 12 years old. I live at St. Mary's Shelter." A ripple of silence went through the audience. The camera caught the faint glimmer of tears in a few people's eyes before Eli even sang a single note. "What will you be singing today?" asked another judge. "You Raise Me Up," Eli whispered, his eyes flickering toward the crowd. "It's a song my mom used to sing to me before she passed away." The judges exchanged glances, their expressions softening. The music started, a gentle piano intro filling the air, and the boy closed his eyes. Then, he began to sing. His voice was fragile at first, shaky, uncertain, but pure. It carried the kind of emotion that can't be taught, only lived. Every word, every note, seemed to come from a place far deeper than his years could explain. "When I am down, and oh my soul, so weary." The first line alone made the front row reach for tissues. Eli's voice cracked slightly, but he didn't stop. He pressed on, his small hands gripping the microphone tighter as the emotion swelled inside him. The judges leaned forward. The audience held its breath. No one in that room knew what Eli had been through, but they could feel it in every note he sang. After his mother's death, Eli had spent months in the streets before being taken in by the shelter. Nights were cold, and days were lonelier. Sometimes, he'd sit outside a cafe, listening to the faint sounds of music leaking through the windows. He'd hum along softly, imagining his mother was still there beside him, singing. Music became his only escape, his only way to remember her warmth. The song built up, his voice growing stronger, braver. "You raise me up, so I can stand on mountains." It wasn't just a song anymore, it was a cry of hope, a message to everyone who had ever been broken but kept going. His voice filled the hall, soaring higher and higher until even the sound technicians forgot their jobs and just listened. By the time he reached the final chorus, Eli's tears were streaming down his cheeks, but his voice never faltered. He sang for his mother, for the nights he had slept on cold concrete, for the strangers who had walked past him without seeing. When the last note faded, the entire auditorium stood in stunned silence. For a long moment, no one moved. Then, as if on cue, the crowd erupted into applause, wild, emotional, unstoppable applause. People were crying openly. The judges were wiping their eyes. One of them pressed the golden buzzer. Confetti exploded from the ceiling, golden sparkles raining down as Eli stood frozen, covering his mouth in disbelief. The host rushed to the stage and hugged him, whispering, "You did it, Eli. You raised all of us up." Backstage, Eli's caretaker from the shelter waited for him. Her eyes were swollen from crying, but she was smiling wider than ever. "Your mom would be so proud," she said, kneeling to his height. "You showed the world what she always saw in you." That night, the video of his performance went viral across the internet. Millions watched, cried, and shared it with messages of love and hope. Donations poured into the shelter, helping dozens of other children like Eli find food, safety, and a chance to dream again. But for Eli, the greatest gift wasn't fame. It was walking out of that studio, feeling like he wasn't invisible anymore. He realized that even though life had broken him, it hadn't ended him. His mother's song had given him wings, and through his voice, she was still with him, lifting him up, always. Eli's story became a symbol of resilience, a reminder that no matter how small you are, no matter how dark life gets, there is always a reason to keep singing. Because sometimes, one song is enough to raise the whole world up.